In this video, I'll demonstrate how to complete the model validation checklist. So here you can see the Revit model validation checklist that would be provided to you. And first of all, we see the Revit file details. So let's look at the sections that we need to complete. We've got the model name, and we would use possibly just the date for this for the project number. So 240220, originator NCL, New College Lanarkshire. Which volume is it? Which level is it? It's an M3 Revit model, possibly. It's an M3 BIM model, so it's all levels. Structural in this case, 0001, and then just type whatever description you're asked to type, obviously. Then, so it says we're using the date for the project number, so we'll put the date in here. I'll use my name at this point, and in approved by, then the BIM manager will just complete this part. And what is the purpose for issuing the project information model? Is it for information? Is it for coordination? And again, information, we would look at status code S2 if it's being shared. So the purpose of issue, coordination, we would look at status code S1. So looking at the checklist itself, this is a very short checklist, just looking at some of the key tasks that you might be asked to complete. So checking the model file name conforms to standards. What we need to do there is actually look through the BIM execution plan and go find in the BEP section 4.2 the file naming convention. So let's find that. There's 4.2, and here's an example of how you'll name any project information models. So again, just the same as any standards for 19650, it's just following the national appendix for that. So for us, project number, originator, volume, level, type, role, sequential number, and a description. So into your project information model that you are validating, and we can look at either using, if we're using Collaborate and it's on the cloud, then you're opening up a BIM 360 model, or you'd be opening up a model that's just being shared and provided to you. In this case, it's not being shared, so I'm just going to actually save it myself. So let's just double check. At this point, it's saying, does the model name conform to standards? So let's just enter a name for this file then. So we'll use the date and then NCL as the originator. Z1ZZ, M3 structural 0001, and then structural project information model, or whatever you're asked to enter for that. So we'll just save it anywhere at this point, and again just double checking to the BEP that it does meet the standard. So there we can go in and say, does it meet the standards? Yes, it does. Review and fix all warning messages. So straight away we can look at coordination review warnings, and there's nothing there. And we can also go and look at any project warnings. And again, that's just greyed out, so it's showing there aren't any project warnings. To deal with that section, if there are any project warnings, then you need to assess that and see what the relevant action is from that. But once you've dealt with the project warnings, then you can put a yes against that also. So has the file been purged and compressed? So we'll look at purge within Revit, but you also need to think when you collaborate to BIM 360. If you go through the collaboration process and choose compact the model, that would be compressed, that's fine. But when we purge it, what we have to do within Revit is we need to use the purge unused button. It's on the top on the manage tab. We need to use that 3 times. So the first time that we purge, it's going to purge all the unused elements. The second time we purge, it's any materials and assets that have been used by those elements that were purged in the first purge process. And then the third time that we purge, any unused materials and assets that are associated with the materials and assets from the second purge. Revit seems unable to handle purging the materials and assets at the same time as the elements, so we'll do that in 3 different stages. So if we look at purge unused, so first time everything that's here, all the unused elements, so 575 of those elements purged. And if we go through purge unused again, this time we've got 130 odd materials and assets. And if we go back through again, we've got 55 materials and assets that are kind of linked to the second purge there. So if we go through it a 4th time, we should see a number 0 in there, that there's nothing that can really be purged this time. So we can put a yes against that. And again, please remember to go through BIM 360, and when you collaborate, tick the compact button, because that's the compressed part then. And check that all the content is on the correct work set and conforms to standards. So again, there we can look at an element and we can check in its properties. So if we select an element and go to the properties window, we can see it's on structural framing. So we're checking the naming of the work sets, but we're also checking that the elements are on the correct work set, and there's an S column. Let's switch on work sharing. So we can say work sharing display, we can choose work sets, and there quite clearly through a colour coordinated display we can see all the different work sets that are on various colours. And if we look at that element on the top, the framing, if we choose it, it says it's on work set 1. So let's choose all the framing on the top level, and we'll use filter, so we've got that framing, and we'll make sure it's on the S framing work set. And then we can do the same with the structural floors. There's the ground, it's on work set 1, so structural floors work set. Okay, so we miss one, and if I just change that to structural framing, so now all the colours are displaying and showing me that all the framing is on the same work set, all the columns are on the same work set, and all the floors are on the same work set. And we've checked the naming of the work sets, and we've checked that they are actually the relevant work sets. So back to the model validation checklist, and we can agree with that and just say yes. So let's check the model is correctly assembled through a visual inspection. So we'll do that in 3D. We could just rotate the model within 3D and check that. But the next step is also asking about model accuracy as well, dimension accuracy. So we could go through and check some of the major dimensions. This is one of the things that happens to your model during the judging process of any assessments or competition pieces. Just random dimensions would be selected for review. So we can say yes to that and check model for dimension accuracy. But check the project base point matches the coordinates in the BIM execution plan. So checking within the BIM execution plan, you should see printed the project base point and the survey point. And again, just within the site plan view of the project information model, just clicking on the project base point or the survey point will open up the coordinates, and we can just double check that they both match between the model and the BIM execution plan, and check the model is sitting at the correct rotation, position and height on site. So we can check height as elevation, and we can check rotation when we look at True North and Project North. And the next step after that would be setting a starting view to project information sheet as well. So if we go up to on manage, starting view, and then just choose from the list one of the sheets. So we were asked to set it to model issue revision sheet. We can click that, and if I go and open that up within the project window, there we go. So that would be the view that's opened up when we open up a project information model. It will open up straight to this view. And check the file format, follows the agreed requirements for data exchange for this document. So one would be the project information model. So we scroll within the BEP, we can see here within section 2.3, 3D model files, and we required a native file as well as an IFC. If we look at the bottom of that as well, any reports or specifications are required as a PDF. So let's say file save as, we save the project, we know the name works, the name meets the BIM execution plan requirements, but we're also required in this case to export as an IFC and export. So we can say browse, go to the correct file location. Now this could equally be done on BIM 360 just through Collaborate, checking the model name also meets the project requirements, and export as an IFC. So now we would have an IFC version and a Revit model version of the project information model. Now whether that's done through file save or whether it's done through Collaborate to BIM 360, we still end up with two models of two different formats. So let's double check. Okay, so there's the Revit model and there's the IFC file. So both of these files have just been saved. They've not been shared or collaborated in any way. But if we were using BIM 360, then we can go and achieve the next section. So number 9, assign the appropriate model status. So let's open BIM 360. And within BIM 360, we can see any models that have been collaborated here. I'll open up. I'm just going to open the PDA BIM project. And if we just look at Alan and Brian's, there's Alan's work in progress. And scrolling along, we can see there's one of Alan's project information models. It's in work in progress, so it should always have S0. And I would also fill in the classification for that. So if we look at shared, then it's been shared for a purpose, and that purpose here we can see S1 at the top, and I'll just choose S2 for this bottom test project. So S1 would indicate that it's been shared for coordination, S2 would indicate that it's been shared for information, and again I would add classification information in here.